I can't zoom in around because it'll take the focus away. That might be about as good as it gets. If I did last time, you can see the clock right here. Shot clock. This is the game.
The American Athletic Conference and UCF encourages and promotes good sportsmanship. The University of Central Florida requests your cooperation
by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner.
Profanity, racial, and sexist comments, or other intimidating actions
directed at coaches, officials, student athletes, or other team representatives
Will not be tolerated.
and are grounds for removal from CFE Arena. Go nuts, charge on.
On this sunny Saturday afternoon, the American Digital Network returns to the campus of UCF, just outside CFE Arena. Soon enough, we'll have tip-off between the Knights of UCF as they welcome to town the Mustangs of SMU. First meeting in conference play between these two women's basketball programs. Welcome in, everyone, here on ADN. Lincoln Rose along with Coach Angela Beck. And Coach, two teams now who are continuing to find out who they are here in 2018 in conference play. SMU trying to bounce back from a loss the other night. Meanwhile, UCF able to hang on at home here against Tulane.
UCF is becoming one of the best teams in the league, if not 3 or 4 in the league. It's because of a very stingy defense. And what's emerging as one of the best backcourts in the league with Saunders and KK Wright. SMU, on the other hand, they've got Adams, who's been scoring half their points every night, but they also have one of the greatest rebounding teams in the league. They're going to have to put it on all cylinders to get one here today.
Let's take a look at your keys to the matchup. First up for the visitors out of Dallas.
Well, they got to attack the basket. They've been soft on how they attack. Everybody's got to get the ball. They got to get to the rim, and then they got to get back on defense because UCF likes to run and gun.
And, of course, for Coach Abe, how do they build on their victory the other night?
Well, Coach Abe, she has to keep doing what she's doing, which is, having their kids execute. But they got to keep SMU, one of the great rebounding teams, off the glass, and then obviously get this game going and run in transition.
Well, these days with the injury to Alicia Froling, that means all eyes are on Mackenzie Adams for the Mustangs.
Well, she's been doing it all. Like I said, she had half the points the other night. She's scoring inside, outside, mainly from the line because she's a gutty performer.
They had a tough matchup against the newcomer Shockers of Wichita State in Kansas for their midweek matchup. Meanwhile, these Knights, thanks to Zakiya Saunders, the redshirt fifth-year senior going out in style as Knight, got that victory the other day against Tulane.
Well, I think Coach knew something special was about her, and now we're beginning to see what she's capable of doing. She's a smooth customer. She can do it inside, she can do it outside. She has great passing angles. She's a player to watch.
Knights and Mustangs coming up here on ADN. Just yesterday we had a chance to catch up with UCF head coach, Coach Abe.
I thought, KK and Z came out ready to go that game, really set the tone for us. Obviously, the other team was keen on Aaliyah Gregory, and we knew that, and so we really needed those two to step up right away and be really aggressive. I thought really that Z did a great job of getting offensive rebounds. That was really big for us. She got some extra possessions for us, got some kickouts for us, and got everybody else some shots. Yeah, no let-ups. We can't have any let-ups. We're trying to take one game at a time all the time. And, this team we beat at their place, so they're going to come in hungry, ready to go, and, with a lot of fire under their belt. And their seniors, this is the last time they're going to be playing here. And our seniors, this is the last time their team will be playing here. So we really got to come out focused and ready to go. And we really have to box this team out. They got 19 offensive rebounds against us last time, so that's going to be big for us. They have a lot of size and we don't, so we got to really be physical and box out. The keys of the games is definitely boxing out. They have 6'5", 6'4" in the post, and they just keep coming in with big post players, and we're undersized right now. And then the second thing would to be able to know where Mackenzie Adams is at all time, number 3 on their team. She's a really good player for them. She's a senior for them. We have to control her for 40 minutes.
I was the last person anybody's thinking is going to be in college athletics. One thing I really valued about my SMU experience was being in engineering school. I was taught how to think. In 2012, my wife and I decided to start our foundation. Basically, the goal is to let kids be kids while they're in the hospital, but also be able to return to being a kid when they're done. A huge part of my quality of life is the experiences that I've had, and that was all provided by SMU. I'm Thomas Morstead. Game changers are shaped here.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it.
Just about set to go here on the American Digital Network in Orlando. The Knights welcoming the Mustangs to town. The Knights coming off a home victory the other night against Tulane. They'll stick with their same starting 5 for head coach Katie Abrahamson Henderson in her second year. Now 12-7 on the year, 4-2 in conference. But Coach, I direct everyone's attention to SMU in the post. Johnasia Cash will be the big down there, and does the Mustangs try to change things up a bit?
Well, I think he's doing a good job of doing that because she's got versatility. She's able to run the floor. She's a really good finisher. She's young, she's hungry, and they need to shake it up a bit.
So look forward to seeing what Cash can do getting the start tonight. For the first time today, let's go ahead and send it courtside, check in with the third member of our team, Despina McLaughlin. Despina?
Hey guys, yeah, I got to catch up with both head coaches and specifically talking with UCF and Coach Abe. She said there's a few things they need to take care of. One thing you notice right off the bat, there's a size disadvantage for UCF in the Knights, so they're going to have to box out and not allow those second chance opportunities. Also, a big priority is to shut down their lead, and Adams is putting up nearly 20 points a game. As for SMU, they're still trying to find their rhythm, but they know they got to cut off the mid-range shot for UCF. That's their sweet spot, and that's what they're going after today, guys.
All right, thank you very much, Despina. Again, SMU is going to have that size advantage against a lot of programs in the American, barring perhaps that team up there in Connecticut. But that has not held UCF back. Their balanced scoring has helped them out while they can defensively focus on Adams.
Yes, and don't count them off on the offensive glass either. They picked up 20 offensive rebounds in the last game. So they're going to crash their own boards. It's going to be a battle of the boards.
KK Wright will pick up the opening assist. The first 2 points of the afternoon belong to Aaliyah Gregory. First team all-conference last year for the Knights. The first time they've received such an award since joining the American. And again, preseason all-conference selected this year as they come up with a stomp on the opposite end.
Well, I'm really starting to look at Saunders and Wright and the backcourt right there. They really are starting to click on, and find each other. So that's a great backcourt for us to have in the American.
So UCF won its first 3 games in the American this year. That was a program all-time best start in this conference. They dropped their next 2 against UConn and USF, able to bounce back against Tulane here on Wednesday. Offensive rebound, and for the first time today, we get to introduce you to Masani Kaba, the talented freshman.
Well, they're physical, and she pinched in the weak side board there and pushed her out and got position and connected.
Finally able to bring it across midcourt. Adams, some contact. They'll get an offensive foul. And that was the freshman taking the charge on the opposite end.
Well, they know she's going to the hole. They know what they call that a black hole. Once you get the ball, it's not coming out, and that's what she's doing, and they were ready for her. That's good scouting on UCF's part.
Kaba got outside of that restricted arc to her credit and was able to hang the first foul on Mackenzie Adams.
Adams has done a good job of not getting in foul trouble this year, but that's one thing that they can't afford here this afternoon.
See if Kaba will work her way into the post. Now has the ball against 2 Mustangs and will be headed to the free throw line. An early 4-0 start for UCF. Again, Travis Mays, just like Coach Abe last year, took over his Mustangs for his first head coaching job. As a longtime assistant for all sorts of Hall of Famers, Jody Conrad, Van Chancellor, most recently Karen Aston down at Texas at his alma mater where he shined on the men's side before his NBA playing career.
And not to name another one, Vivian Stringer from Rutgers. So yes, if he didn't pick up some knowledge with all of those people, I'm really jealous. I actually went into coaching and didn't learn from anyone. Had to kind of read them out of the books, but good for him.
I think he was only allowed to list 3 references though on his resume.
Well, I think he had Gino calling in on him, so I mean he didn't even talk about Gino.
When you go into the media guide for SMU, some high praise from some of his former employers as well as Coach Ariema. UCF off to a 4-0 start, unable to find points this trip down, and already we've seen a change. Morgan Smith coming in off the bench for SMU. Into Cash, they'll call her for the walk, getting her first start here in conference play, her second start of her young career, the freshman. And speaking of second-year head coaches, Katie Abrahamson-Henderson, former standout at Iowa, now in her 3rd head coaching position. She's been successful in each stop, most recently at Albany, and has surrounded herself with a talented staff of former players, as well as former WNBA All-Star and former UConn Husky, Nikesha Sales.
She has a very efficient team, hard-working team that gets points in a real positive manner, and they lead the league impressively in a lot of categories we'll talk about this afternoon, but they've moved themselves to the top 2 in several categories, so good for them.
One of her best recruiting jobs was not once but twice with Zykia Saunders. First had her play 3 years at Albany. Last year sat out with a transfer to UCF, bringing her to Orlando. And Saunders, again, a big factor this year as a senior. KK Wright, deep but into a little bit of trouble, able to get it back out to Gregory.
I like their patience, though. They easily could have thrown up a shot in that series, but they haven't, and they work for the better shot, and then look at that shot.
Pass into Kava, a nice move, can't finish because of the foul, and again, free throws coming up for Masani Kava, the 6'3" freshman out of Massachusetts, giving them about 8.6 rebounds per outing.
I'd still like Masani to do like a 2-second count when she gets the ball, chin it a little longer. I think you learn it as you go, but she's quick on the trigger down there. Can't complain about her scoring average or anything like that, but I think once she really starts to establish that, she's going to be tough to defend.
Makes 1 of 2. She led UCF the other day with 16 points against Tulane in her 39 minutes on the floor, more time than any other night in that victory. As Mustangs on the board, and, well, no surprise, courtesy of Mackenzie Adams.
UCF could have picked up the second charge if they'd have stepped up on that, but she kind of ran a little floater in the lane and really was able to control her body. She's going to have a tough time getting to the rim, I think, tonight.
Again, Smith, your designated point guard at the moment. Ball plucked away, a foot race. Saunders the other way, dishes to KK Wright. Saunders will pick up the assist as Wright pours in 2 more to add to the lead here early for the Knights at home.
Little up and over pass that wasn't there, so I think if I had Thomas on my team, I would not allow her to throw an up and over.
Saunders had 5 assists when we saw UCF host Tulane on Wednesday. To go with her 11 points, 12 rebounds, 6 of which on the offensive end. And UCF off to a nice start here, not quite midway through the opening quarter at home.
Well, one of the reasons SMU's having difficulty is they don't get back in transition as well as a lot of teams, and you really have to work on that part. And then offensively, they're having a tough time scoring the basket. Not just the fact that they don't have a lot of contributors, but they're not shooting the ball exceptionally well.
Well, Mackenzie Adams had 22 of SMU's 43 points in Wichita. Today, she has the first 4 for SMU. And a walk on Wright. Back over to the Mustangs.
That's a good defense that time by Whitfield. I really wanted to see SMU come out with a lot of intensity here. They have not won on the road, and I think they've been a little bit flat, and they just need to, work hard and play tough.
Again, Whitfield out of Houston, the freshman. No shortage of Texans, but here's the Australian Collins. Can't get to go, but taps it out. For the offensive rebound out to Kiara Perry. So they have both Cash and Collins in right now, and that's going to draw a foul on Schuler.
Well, it'd be nice for SMU to get their bigs involved early, and I like the call by Coach Travis Mays of going inside to her and letting her touch the ball early in her possessions.
Cash, the 6'2" freshman, they'll throw it into the backcourt. As well as Collins, the senior, at 6'5". They also have Clara Bradshaw available on the bench at 6'6". There's Cash open from the elbow. It won't go as rebound down to Saunders. UCF scored on its opening possession, has led the entire way so far here in this first frame. Nice job by Schuler collecting, but brings it down around her waist, and that's when Cash ties her up. Possession arrow will keep it on this end.
2 things that SMU did well in that series. They got back. They had 4 players in the paint. They stopped the transition game, and then they dug down on the post. So much improved defense on that series.
15 still to shoot for the Knights. Kaba kicks it out, and it's another turnover. 2 straight possessions that UCF will give it back over to SMU. So 5:01 to go here in this opening quarter. SMU has dropped 4 of their first 5 here in conference play. Their lone win, a home victory against ECU last weekend in Dallas. Cash from 16, money.
Cash is coming out rocking and firing. I mean, she's just catching and shooting. Love to see a freshman do that. Her release is a little lower. I think she's going to have to work on a little higher release as she grows in the game, but that's a good-looking shot.
A couple turnovers from UCF. Their last 2 trips down have helped SMU pull within 1. As KK Wright just a tad strong off the back iron. Travis Mays wants a walk. But UCF with another bite at the apple here coming up.
Yeah, Mays was even showing the official how she walked, and I mean it was he could officiate too.
Oh, Saunders off the glass from 17 straight away. Again, the native of Augusta, Georgia, now playing her final year under Coach Abe.
Now that was a high arcing bank, not from the angle that most coaches teach, but we'll give it to her.
And it means UCF is still hanging on to its advantage. Collins to Cash, that should be an advantage in this ball game, the Twin Towers, but instead it'll be Knights basketball. They have the lead here in Orlando, back at home in the American. Mustangs, Knights, first quarter action when we resume here on ADN.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Underway from the American.
Don't miss the chance to see your team cut down the nets March 3rd to the 6th. Call the Mohegan Sun Arena or visit us online to purchase tickets today.
UCF with the opening advantage, trying to improve to 5-2 here in the early conference play. Check back in with Despina.
Yeah, guys, you can tell that SMU is kind of a shell of what they were a year ago. This team made it deep into the WNIT. The only problem now, they're missing a major piece from that, and Alicia Falling, who went out 2 weeks before the season started, tearing some cartilage in her knee. She will not return for the rest of the season, but she has traveled every single game with this team and has spent a lot of time with their freshmen, wanting to show them that there is another way they can win. She will be returning at the end of this year, and she will return for a senior redshirt season. So she has a lot of plans to help this team get back to where they were a season ago. And not only that, hopes of making it to the WNBA and getting drafted. Her leadership is dearly missed so far this year, guys.
Thank you, Despina. Yeah, we actually heard from Froling back on Tuesday when she mentioned that she's very mindful that you can feel like you're full strength on a knee, but you don't want to rush things. So she knows that this season is one where she will only be able to contribute on the bench vocally and working with some of the younger players. Angela Beck, you and I have been able to watch her grow over the past 3 years, coming from her home continent of Australia, along with Stephanie Collins, and at the time with her twin Keely coming over as well. But Alicia, I know they're going to be thrilled to have her next year with this great young signing class coming in as well.
Yes, they're going to be thrilled to have her back, but I think Alicia and her team is probably ready for us to stop talking about her. I'm about ready to stop talking about her because she's not here, and it's time for Perry and Whitfield and Reese and Thomas to step up and go, because they're good enough, they're athletic enough, they're tough enough, and it's their team.
Well, how often do you see a team leading a conference in offensive rebounds, but they're at the bottom of the standings? That's where SMU finds itself right now with a 4-way tie. But Travis Mays tonight, he's going to lean more on that height. Mentioned he has both Cash as well as Collins on the court right now, and there's Cash right on cue with the rebound.
Well, that's a couple different things Cash has done on the defensive end, is that, and they've needed it. Just powering it up and muscling it up down there, because they're going to have to get a lot more physical. Aaliyah Gregory on that opposite end with the block shot of Adams. And here's Gregory with some offense. It'll come up short with a hand in her face. Cash taps it back. And I think this one will stay here. Last couple games we've watched SMU, they've taken some tough shots. And that was a tough shot that Adams took on that end. I'd like to see him slow down a little bit, move the ball, get some quality shots. Their high-low game should be able to operate all night.
They've had success getting in a low post. They just have not been able to finish at a high enough clip when they're right there at the basket. Block shot from Collins. She was already coming down from the apex of her jump. Just what it must be like to be 6'5". But still a ball with the Knights, a chance to put points on the board. They do. 11-6. The lead is back to 5. As 2 more points for the resume of Kayla Thigpen, and timeout by Travis Mays in SMU.
Well, their guards are rebounding. Of course, Thigpen's not a guard now; she's a forward. But their guards are going after it. They're hustling, and SMU's guards are kind of standing there watching them. So they're going to have to rebound and block it out.
So obviously we've talked about Froling being out. What you and I have yet to mention, because frankly the Knights have been playing so well. Not just one player, but 2 standouts, potential starters, unavailable to Coach Abe this year. Fifi Ender and Tolu Omakore, both big contributors a year ago. Fifi only played 7 games this year, was already giving them 10.6 rebounds of her own. But this is a situation where UCF has found other players to fill those voids.
Well, they have, and the other players have stepped up and said, hey, guess what? I'm going to have an opportunity. And I think SMU can do that. It's just everyone needs to stop talking about it, and they need to start doing it.
It's a couple of 6-footers that UCF lost. They have not been able to replace that size necessarily. So there you see the tie-up as KK Wright reaches in.
Well, the Knights are known for their physical play. You can't bring the ball down around your waist and just hang it out there, because they're going to tie you up. I like the energy I'm seeing out of SMU this early, though. This is as good as I've seen him as far as being feisty and tough and aggressive.
Kira Perry averaging 11 points, 8 rebounds, comes out for a moment here. Michaela Reese, her fellow senior, comes on. And there is a 3 in the key call that will send it back over to UCF.
I think Collins got caught watching.
So SMU had pulled it within a 1-point ball game at 7-6. That was after the Knights had committed back-to-back turnovers to curtail their scoring. The Knights back on track. You see the turnovers, already more turnovers than points for SMU. Thigpen, you mentioned, naturally a guard, but because of her size, they've needed her at least defensively more in the post. And there's a hand check, I believe, on Reese in SMU.
Yeah, that's too bad, because that was a pretty good series going, and then to bail them out with a foul late in that clock is not nice.
Saunders, who's really adopted more of a scoring role than she had in her first 3 years of college basketball. That includes more 3-pointers this year than her entire career. Great dish again. Another dime from Saunders, dialing up KK Wright. A little reversal of roles.
That's a nice little 1-2 punch. Dribble baseline, everyone collapses, and she just steps right in and takes its shot.
Cash had hit from there a little bit earlier. Off the mark this time. Wright, full speed against 3 Mustangs. Cash will be called for the foul.
With some extended minutes by Cash, it'll be nice if she can not get in foul trouble. You know, as a post player, you just don't ever want to swing your arms down like she did. I mean, she could have easily blocked it by keeping it up. It's just kind of a freshman error to swing down. It's going to be an automatic call by the official.
KK Wright's about a 70% free throw shooter. Joneza Cash, when we talked to Travis Mays for the first time this year, a couple weeks ago, her name came up as somebody who's really hitting her stride now as a freshman. And obviously that has led to now her second start of the season, a very competitive individual who's banged up a lot this summer. She's getting healthy, and things starting to click in conference play. And, of course, for KK Wright, you talk to Coach Abe, and she'll remind you, KK came off the bench last year, but both mentally and physically, everything clicking for her coming into this year as she comes out for a breather.
Yeah, she called her most improved player, and that's a lot to say about a kid. That must mean she's doing a lot of things right and working extremely hard at it.
She also brings quite the posse, including a very inspirational grandpa that Coach Abe has really enjoyed having come out to ball games. As Adams has her foot on the line, it's a long 2, back within 7. Adams has 6 of SMU's 8 points now.
I like that because Adams was off the weak side and they were able to pass it. She can pass and catch. She hasn't been able to get a lot of pass and catch opportunities because she usually has the ball and she's driving.
Joneza Cash has the other 2 Mustangs points. She's late to close. It ball to the shot though. Thigpen's putback won't go, and Adams finally with the rebound. SMU can hold for the final shot here in quarter number 1 in Orlando. And a nice stroke out of the right hand of Whitfield. Her first shot from the floor today. And opposite end. Oh, Whitfield must have scored a tad too quickly. Knights pull it right back for the 6-point lead after the opening quarter here on the American Digital Network. It's UCF and SMU. American hoops on display here on this Saturday afternoon.
Oh, that ball is hit deep. Left field. Way back. That ball is gone.
Double play ball potentially Streitenthal over to first. In time, double play, and that ends the game.
Power comes in all forms. Power is a big tackle,
a big save,
a clutch hit,
and a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments,
profanities, or other improper actions
while at the game.
The American.
Power.
Power. Power.
Power for life.
We did not see a single three-pointer attempted in that opening quarter until the final 30 seconds. Both Mustangs and Knights hit one right at the closing moments, including Zykira Lewis, who's able to answer the three-pointer from the Mustangs. Let's check back in courtside with Despina.
Yeah, Lincoln, when I talked to Coach Abe about what her impressions were coming off that USF game, was that she didn't think her team played hard enough. They were coming off a big holding situation against UConn. They were satisfied they came out flat against USF, and she said she's been continuing that notion with this team. She wants them to play aggressive. You've seen the 3 steals here in the first quarter, and also her pulling Nyla Schuler right after that first foul. They don't want to get in a fouling situation and be hindered in the back end of this game. Right now, she's very happy with the team's toughness, Lincoln.
Yeah, again, remember, UCF was 3-0 in conference before that UConn and USF stretch. This is moments after SMU hit their 3. Lewis able to connect. And she, I believe, 9 triples now on the year. That is a career high for three-pointers made in her single season. Just never was much of a perimeter shooter at Albany. And a turnover for the Mustangs. A good start here on the road now. And just unable to make the adjustment as the rebound by Schuler following the miss from Whitfield. Lincoln Rose, Angela Beck, along with Jaspina McLaughlin with you here on the American Digital Network. Great to have you with us here at CFE Arena, home of the UCF Knights. Tomorrow's a big day for a certain UCF Knight, Blake Bortles, as he tries to take Jacksonville to the Super Bowl. Of course, it's headed to Minnesota, whether the Vikings are there or not. And another good look from Saunders.
That's a well-designed inbounds play for her to come right off the curl and get the shot. Defense was a little soft.
Collins coming off the bench today inside, and that one swatted by Kaba, but it'll stay with the Mustangs. 20 to shoot.
Nice high-low look, but they recovered very fast and swatted it out.
Kenzie Adams with 6 points, 3 from Whitfield and the other 2 from Cash for SMU. Cash on the bench right now. As Deja Thomas is someone we haven't mentioned much here in this ball game. And she's a couple games removed from a career high in scoring, rebounding, and assists, and a walk now on the Mustangs.
Yeah, I've seen the really great Deja Thomas and then the kind of average one, and we'll see which one shows up tonight. So far, she's been a little bit sloppy. She's had a couple turnovers here early.
They'll work inside. Kaba, quick pass out to right, but they get a 3-second call. We've seen freshmen on both ends struggle with that.
A little bit sloppy here on both ends. Lots of just sloppy turnovers and inadvertent three-point whistles and, you know, I mean, 3-second whistles in the lane.
Good penetration, and they're going to say apparently right on the restricted arc, unable to draw the charge, Kaba.
Blocking foul number 5 for the Knights, Matsuni Kaba.
Yep.
Or didn't have position.
Yep, she just slid right in her path.
Perry at the line.
Kira Perry just short of being 70% from the charity stripe this year. Giving the Mustangs about 30 minutes a ball game. Played for Duncanville. That's a program that is regularly a powerhouse in the largest classification in Texas. Similar color scheme as SMU. As Thigpen with the rebound following the miss. SMU trailing by 8 here early in the second quarter. Travis Mays with his instructions to his defense. As KK Wright gets her own miss, matched up with Whitfield.
Their guards are tough on the boards. I mean, they get as many rebounds as their posts.
Well, two things happened there. Nyla Schuler made sure that she was not called for a moving screen, and with Kiara Perry anticipating the screen, she went right into the ball handler. Now Travis Mays is trying to get a clarification on that call.
Lots of ball reversal in UCF offense. A lot of player movement in UCF offense.
18 to shoot. Ball still with the Knights.
It's be a good series to get a stop for SMU.
Wright, one of the Orlando natives here on this roster. That one well off the mark from Lewis. She wants it back, but Thigpen will fire one up. No. And another offensive rebound as Schuler comes up with it.
Okay, but there's no way that you can't get on the ground there. You have to get on the ground. Schuler's on the ground. Thomas is trying to grab it, and Schuler just picks it up and takes it.
Inside, Gregory. And again, when we don't have to call her name very often and they still have a 10-point lead, that just tells you about how much improvement has gone on around her. Adams able to get in the lane, and she'll now get her own rebound.
Well, third time's a charm.
SMU will slow things down for a moment. Inside to Clara Bradshaw, and another bunny off the mark.
Yep, they can't buy a bucket. They've missed 2 or 3 of those.
At 6'6", Bradshaw. And we've seen that over the past couple of years. SMU, those easy opportunities right at the rim have not always been kind. Perry from Adams, no.
There you go.
And a nice follow-up by Kiera Perry, the senior.
That's what they got to do right there. That was a good rebound. She did rip it out and then got to the rim, and that's what we talked about in the pregame as far as the keys of the games, that they need to attack the rim anytime they can.
And another walk on Schuler. Second time we see Morgan Smith, the freshman from Dallas, come on. And of course for UCF, you're looking at Kayla Thigpen, the West Palm Beach native. Just could not get to that ball in time. Perry following up her own miss. With the most recent 2 for the Mustangs, a chance to trim this down to 6. Instead, another turnover. And both teams probably would benefit from just slowing it down here.
Yeah, slow it down, spread the floor, get some movement, reverse the ball.
Wright had 3 Mustangs collapse on her, sends it out to Schuler, won't go. Cash with the rebound, again got her second career start today. She a freshman, and you're looking at another freshman, Morgan Smith, a youth movement for Travis Mays this year and next year. And another hustle play to tie up the Mustangs. Possession arrow will stay on this end.
Number 1 rule against a trapping zone is do not eat your dribble. You eat your dribble, it makes it real difficult to throw the ball out because you're dead. And they've been caught in these, I mean, the scouting report is to trap SMU because they don't really like that physical play.
Cash to Bradshaw. Kaba held her ground, pinning Bradshaw underneath the glass. Bradshaw, who started her career at TCU. Second year, eligible to play for the Mustangs.
That's one of the best high-low passes I've seen SMU do. I mean, that was a nice soft touch up over the defense. She just wasn't able to power it up. Gain some space, get your elbows out, clear out some space, and get up there and finish it.
There's only 3 seconds on the shot clock here for SMU. Bradshaw from the wing, good. Nice execution by SMU.
Why not just move her outside then? That looked pretty good.
They'll try her at point guard next. Midway through the second quarter, UCF has not trailed today. We have not been tied since it was scoreless at the opening tip. And Wright goes right into the heart of the lane. And SMU gets the defensive board. And Adams is tripped up.
Well, that's the shot they were making all night the other night from 3-4 feet in the paint. Just they've missed a couple here today. But good looks.
We'll step aside from Orlando. You're watching the American Digital Network. American Athletic Conference women's basketball on display here this Saturday afternoon. A 6-point lead for the home team Knights against the Mustangs.
I was the last person anybody's thinking is going to be in college athletics. One thing I really valued about my SMU experience was being in engineering school. I was taught how to think. In 2012, my wife and I decided to start our foundation. Basically, the goal is to let kids be kids while they're in the hospital, but also be able to return to being a kid when they're done. A huge part of my quality of life is the experiences that I've had, and that was all provided by SMU. I'm Thomas Morstead. Game changers are shaped here.
People say we're big. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity.
This is big, baby!
So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
UCF off to a good start against the visitors from Dallas as the Knights lead the Mustangs by 6. Well, we started the broadcast off looking at a pair of talented young ladies who wear the number 3 on their back, Adams and Saunders. You look at some of their numbers here early on.
Yeah, both of them are doing a pretty good job. You know, Saunders and KK Wright have 6 or 13 of their team's points, and then Adams is, you know, producing like she always does. So just now we have a few more pieces to the puzzle for SMU, and they're in the ballgame here.
A full slate of women's basketball this year here on the American Digital Network. As we take a look at our next venture, we'll head back to Dallas. Cincinnati will make its way into Texas, as that'll be our Wednesday matchup. And then these Knights go on the road to Tulsa, Oklahoma to take on the Golden Hurricane. A couple of chances to see the Shockers again, the newest members of the American. Wichita State, ECU, and Houston, a impressive Houston squad, a very up-tempo group for Ronald Huey this year.
That's going to be a great game. I don't think if we would have talked about it early in the year, oh, we need to go watch the Wichita State-Houston game, but that is the game to watch.
Ranji Bassard leading those Shockers in scoring and rebounding this year under first-year head coach Keitha Adams. I feel like each week we're talking about a first-year or second-year head coach, and a lot of them making immediate impacts with these programs, including last year. Travis Mays took SMU to the 3rd round of the WNIT. These Knights made their way to the 2nd round of the WNIT. Conference was well represented. You and I will have a chance to talk about the NCAA tournament perhaps and what it might mean for the American this year. Obviously UConn with high expectations, but how many other programs might be able to make their way in?
Well, I'd hope to think that we'd get more than 2 in, and you know that has been kind of the standard of what they've given the American. But I think with UCF and Houston and who knows, Wichita, and I mean, playing the kind of basketball they're playing the kind of RPI that they've put in the preseason, I would hope that we can get, you know, 3 to 4 teams in.
2 to shoot, and that's 1 pass too many. A shot clock violation. Obviously, yeah, top 25 programs, USF and UConn. UConn, with what came out the other day, would be a number 1, of course, in their regional. But after that, can this UCF team continue to be right outside of that upper echelon of those top 2 teams?
And even USF, you know, it'd be nice if USF could have a nice draw. You know, sometimes we're getting stuck with, you know, 7 and 8 seeds and, you know, playing the tougher teams early, and I really think this conference has, you know, established itself, and I know that UConn is the best in the country, but don't hate on the rest of us because they're playing quality teams and winning.
Meanwhile, Houston Wichita State men played today, and Kelvin Sampson's men prevailed over the Shockers. As that one goes right through the arms of Cash, she hits the deck. It'll be a tie-up on the court.
And the key word is that she hits the deck. And thank you, Cash, for getting on the ground. I mean, that's what we got to do. If you got a loose ball, you got to come up with them on the road. You have to do the little things right, and that means, you know, right now the UCF is one of the top teams in the league in steals. They're number 2 behind UConn. So you have to, any kind of loose ball, you got to grab it.
Well, SMU obviously is shooting better than UCF in this ball game. As you look statistically, they're shooting 40%. UCF's just shooting 34%, but UCF's getting some rebounds and some second chances.
Yeah, they're scrapping it out. They're not having a good offensive night yet, but they're always going to be in the game because of that right there.
And it's a brand new possession, brand new shot clock here for the Knights.
And you watch them when they try to rebound inside. They're physical. They're pushing people around. They're not just standing there out jumping people.
Nice feed into Schuler, ran into the wall of Bradshaw and forced her to take some steps when she saw the 6'6" obstacle.
I will say Travis Mays has done a good job of bringing in Bradshaw, Collins, you know, and Cash, and showing different looks, because that has caused a few turnovers right there.
Knights have numbers 3-on-1. Smith, the lone Mustang, back and was no match for Gregory and company.
I thought this zone press might cause SMU a little problem, and it has.
Aaliyah Gregory over 1,300 career points. Number 6 all-time scorer right now for UCF. And stay on this end. Cash was able to throw it off Schuler just in time out of bounds.
Good heads-up play by the freshman.
Well, Travis Mays' Mustangs, despite some struggles, still have been able to keep this game from slipping away in the opening half. Just a 2-possession deficit right now. Oh, and the Mustangs give it right back off the hands of Perry and out of bounds. We showed you we'll see SMU when they return home in 4 nights against Cincinnati. UCF has a road trip, Tulsa, and then at Cincinnati to close out January. I think they like their chances in both of those games from what we've seen here, despite those big injuries to Indur as well as Omakore.
KK Wright just took it into the seam of that zone and drew the foul, and that's what I'm kind of urging SMU to do, is to attack a little more aggressively. Every time KK Wright puts that ball down, you know, somebody's fouling her because she's going right at him.
2 to play here in the opening half. L'Oreal Wilson at the top of the free throw line, dishes to Saunders, and Saunders now with 9 points here in the first 2 quarters of play.
Well, UCF has a lot to play for, because if they are going to be in discussions for postseason play, margin of victory, types of victories, you know, quality of victories, and not getting sloppy with, you know, teams that, and, you know, playing at other teams' levels when they might be a little bit better. They have to really rise to the occasion, and I'm not sure if they really are dialed into that yet.
So Wilson got the assist on one end, but commits the foul on the other. L'Oreal Wilson, among the top junior college players in the country when Coach Abe recruited her to UCF this year. SMU can pull it back within 6, maybe even 5. Just won't go for Cash, but there is Adams, though denied by the taller Schuler with the block. Straight away, basically a free throw, but won't fall.
Who is it down there battling? Thigpen.
Collins completely cleared out the lane, sending Schuler to the floor. They let them play, and UCF with the rebound on the miss. And Wilson will give it right back.
Well, luckily, SMU's not taking good shots, and then on the other end, they're just sloppy, so.
Well, Adams in a groove right there, caught the ball right as she wanted it on the wing and able to pour it in to make this, again, just a 6-point lead for UCF as we flirt with halftime.
It's surprising that SMU's in a 1-2-2, because that's what they see every day, because that's their defense, and it's interesting that they would bring the same defense on, but it's working.
Saunders hit the 3-pointer to end the opening quarter, goes into the lane, fires one up, it won't drop through. It'll be a 6-point lead for UCF as they head to the locker room. Tonight's winners of 4 of their first 6 games in conference play this year. Trying to stay near the top of the pack. And let's check back in with Despina. She's joined by Coach Abe.
Coach, you talked about how you needed your team to be tougher out there. They're winning those 50-50 balls. They're forcing the turnovers. What more are you going to ask of them to do to clean this up?
Well, we got to stop turning the ball over. We're turning the ball over on our own. It's not really like they're making us turn the ball over, and we got to get movement on offense. We're standing around, so you know, they're just packing it in on us right now, and we're trying to get to the paint, and we're not getting to the paint. So we got to be ready to catch and shoot.
How closely are the girls following your game plan here for this team?
It's okay, but we got to make adjustments a little bit defensively. So we'll come back and be ready.
All right, Coach. Good luck to you the rest of the way.
All right, thank you.
Guys?
All right, thank you, Despina. Well, despite the self-inflicted turnovers, SMU has only been able to turn those into 5 points, while UCF has 11 points off turnovers in that opening half. And it's UCF out in front of SMU by 6 as we have reached halftime here on the American Digital Network.
7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Hope your Monday is off to a great start. Thanks for tuning in to an all-new episode of The Rise. I'm Haley Outen. Let's take a look at who took home this week's league honors after standout performances on the hardwood this past week. On the men's side, Memphis guard Jeremiah Martin averaged over 28 points a game in a 2-0 week for the Tigers. He posted a career-high 31 against Tulane, scoring the most points by any Memphis player since Will Barton in 2011. Rookie of the Week honors went to Temple guard Nate Pierre-Louis. The freshman posted a career-high 23 points versus Memphis and had a career-high 7 rebounds in Temple's win at SMU. A handful of other players had impressive performances as well. Here's a look at this week's American Honor Roll. On the women's side, Wichita State forward Ranji Bassard took home this week's top honor. The senior helped the Shockers pick up their first 2 wins in the American, averaging 21 points, 9.5 boards, 3 steals, and 2.5 blocks over the week. Bassard has scored 10 or more points in all but 1 game this season. Freshman of the Week honors went to Cincinnati forward Amari Thomas. The rookie contributed 11 points to go along with 6 rebounds and 3 assists in a win at Houston on Wednesday. While on Saturday, she chipped in 14 points and 7 boards in a win over Temple. And here's a look at the performances that received recognition on this week's Conference Honor Roll. Thanks for joining us on this all-new episode of The Rise. Be sure to check back later tonight as we'll bring you an all-new episode of Mondays with Mike. College basketball analyst Mike O'Donnell will break down all of the men's basketball top headlines across the conference. Have a great week. Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle,
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials, student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game.
The American.
Power.
Power. Power.
Power for life.
War on I-4 champions, American Athletic Conference champions, Peach Bowl champions, an undefeated 13-0 season, and acclaimed national championship. What's a better way to celebrate than here at Walt Disney World?
I don't think you realize how big your school is until you come to Disney World and see everybody wearing UCF.
Thousands of UCF fans lined up to watch the UCF football players, the Marching Knights, cheerleaders, athletic director Danny White, President John Hitt, and the one and only Mickey Mouse celebrate their Peach Bowl win and undefeated season.
Tremendous turnout. Just a few years back, we did a similar parade after winning the Fiesta Bowl. This is bigger.
One subject recently has made headlines all over the sports world for the Knights. Their self-proclaimed national championship title.
Both of us just said, yeah, that's right, national championship, national champions.
I mean, they beat Auburn, who beat Alabama and Georgia, so that's a starting point.
You're rating us 12 and we're undefeated, beat Auburn, national champion.
Athletic director Danny White first made the claim to national champions immediately after the Peach Bowl win against Auburn.
I feel like we've earned the right to claim the national championship, and I've been surprised at how it's that narrative's kind of grown nationally. But I think it's good for the sport, because I think we need to get to a better place. We need to expand the playoff and be at a place where the champion is decided on the field.
The Knights staff say that the claim raises awareness to a more just playoff system.
It's really not a fair system as we have it now. And whether it's UCF and the Knights or any other team, what we all deserve is not a specific win, but an opportunity to go out and earn a win. And I think it's hard to contend that the American Conference, UCF, don't deserve that opportunity, the opportunity to win or lose.
While the season was definitely successful for the Knights, quarterback and Peach Bowl offensive MVP Mackenzie Milton hopes to continue the winning streak into next season.
Yeah, I think it does a lot. You know, I think it boosts a sense of confidence that we can play with anybody, and I think we just want to keep things rolling. There's only one way to go. Just keep going up, and I think our guys are ready to attack spring ball and summer workouts.
Milton during the parade stood at the top of a float with the Peach Bowl defensive MVP and 2018 NFL draft bound Shaquem Griffin.
I mean, we're just kind of embracing the moment, saying, "Wow, like we really made it to this point." And, you know, I just kind of enjoying that moment with him, knowing that he's moving on to the NFL and he's going to do his thing. So it's just pretty cool being up there with my brother for maybe one last time. So it was pretty neat.
Griffin was not the only one whose last game was the Peach Bowl. President Hitt announced in late October that he would be retiring after 26 years at UCF.
You know, it will be bittersweet, no question about that. But you know, we've got a wonderful group of young men. I have every expectation that they'll compete at a high level in an ongoing way, and I'm going to be their #1 fan out there.
Reporting for Campus Connect, I'm Brianna Sorensen.
People say we're big. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy, an opportunity. So go on, dream big, because big is just the beginning.
I got it. This is big.
Don't miss the chance to see your team cut down the nets at the American Athletic Conference Men's Basketball Championship. All the excitement of tournament basketball starts March 8th and runs to the 11th at the Amway Center in Orlando. For tickets, call the Amway Center box office or visit theamerican.org for more information.
I was the last person anybody's thinking is going to be in college athletics. One thing I really valued about my SMU experience was being in engineering school. I was taught how to think. In 2012, my wife and I decided to start our foundation. Basically, the goal is to let kids be kids while they're in the hospital, but also be able to return to being a kid when they're done. A huge part of my quality of life is the experiences that I've had, and that was all provided by SMU. I'm Thomas Morstead. Game changers are shaped here.
Oh, that ball is hit deep. Left field. Way back. That ball is gone.
Double play ball potentially Schreitenthal's over to first. In time, double play, and that ends the game.
The opportunity that I have here is like unmatched. It's one of the best things that I've experienced in my life, and the people I've met here, the relationships that I've formed are things that are going to last a lifetime. Just excitement to be able to go out and play one more time with my teammates, my family, play for my amazing coaches. But it's really just excitement, trying to take advantage of every day that we have together.
Aaliyah is just, you know, she's kind of the, I hate to say it, but she's kind of the quiet assassin, you know, like she's going to, you know, do the things that nobody expects her to do, and she's going to, just be our scorer and our leader, and obviously her pull-up jumper is unbelievable, and she can score at any moment. And but she's not as outspoken and that vocal leader that like KK is in the energy, but she brings it in terms of how she works.
Just as far as like as a person, my leadership skills, my mentality, when I attack everything, just not on the basketball court, but in life in general. I think I'm a totally different person, and I've grown, and that's attributed to our coaches. The coaches that I've had throughout those 4 years have been amazing. A lot of times, like, you'll catch yourself, oh, I don't want to go to practice, or I don't want to go lift, but now that I'm a senior, I realize that all those things are important and are needed to, grow and get better. We have a lot of new people, a lot of underclassmen, just being a leader for them, setting an example, helping them out and helping them learn and grow so that the tradition of this program can continue once I leave. It was an amazing feeling, being able to continue to play, and we did that for our seniors. Of course, you never want to see your last game come about, so for us to have an opportunity to play after the conference tournament was amazing, and it was good for them. But I think it gave us a taste of what we want, and we want to continue to strive for more.
Underway from the American.
Don't miss the chance to see your team cut down the nets March 3rd to the 6th. Call the Mohegan Sun Arena or visit us online to purchase tickets today.
Halftime in Orlando as UCF leads in scoring the first 2 points of the ballgame on its opening possession. Lincoln Rose along with Coach Angela Beck welcoming you back inside CFE Arena. And Coach, we take a look back at that opening half. Despite some turnovers and a few other issues, the Knights in the driver's seat.
They're in the driver's seat, but it's a game because I'm really impressed with SMU. Perry, Whitfield, and even Bradshaw came off the bench and gave them some minutes. And they're equal in the rebounding. They've cut their turnovers down. And, they're giving them a game here. The Knights are a little flat. If I'm coach, I'm kind of a little bit worried because they're not playing as sharp as they can.
Mackenzie Adams with 8 points to lead the way for SMU. Got some help from some of her teammates, including Clara Bradshaw. But Aaliyah Gregory on the mark, and right now it's 9 points, the game high, belonging to Z Saunders, who helped end the scoring in the first quarter as well as the first half. You take a look at some of the numbers, the three-pointer has not defined things much in this ballgame.
I didn't think it would, and besides maybe Adams, the Knights aren't a three-point shooting team. They really like to go inside about 12 feet. So rebounding, I thought it would be a battle of the boards, and you can see, it was early, but it ended up kind of equaling out.
SMU, you're not playing your best game of the year, and yet here you are, and as you have been much of this game, you're within 2 scores.
This is a pretty good game for SMU. They haven't played a lot of good games here in the American yet. They haven't gotten up, going as far as finding all the pieces, but he's been juggling a lot. I see him working a lot harder on the bench, not being settled with what's not happening.
Let's check back in with Despina. She's with SMU head coach Travis Mays.
Yeah, Coach Mays, you talked about how those second and third chance opportunities are really going to kill you. How do you clean those up here in the second half?
Well, I almost at halftime wanted to demonstrate the actual movements of a box out because we've given them 10 to 12 offensive rebounds, and you can't win on anyone's home court if you're given that many extra possessions.
Tell me this, what are you asking your team to do here in the second half, these last 20 minutes of the game to turn this thing around?
Right now, we're asking them to play with a sense of urgency. We're asking them to play together and just do what we teach them and then trust that for the next 20 minutes. If we do, we can get up. We're actually in a position to have a chance to win the game, but I think we'll put ourselves in a better position to win.
All right, Coach, good luck to you the rest of the way, okay?
Thank you very much.
Lincoln?
All right, thank you, Despina. Again, always appreciate the time of both head coaches, Coach A and Coach Mays there at halftime. Travis Mays reinforcing again the need to box out and win the rebound battle, which SMU has usually been able to fall back on this year, if nothing else.
Well, they're two similar teams. Both of them do like to scrap it out on the board, so you're not necessarily going to go into this contest and think that that's what's going to drive home your win. What's going to drive home your win is you taking care of the ball, not turning it over, which unfortunately is something UCF likes to see. They're going to have to do a better job in the full court when UCF is pressing them. They've got caught in several traps early on. And then they're going to have lots of people helping out. It cannot be a one-man show down the stretch.
Well, Bradshaw is going to get the start in the second half along with Cash, so he continues with the larger lineup here in the second half. We saw this about midway through the opening half of play.
I think he's going with who's doing well, and I like what he's doing.
And that's a nice start, cuts the deficit in half, another triple from Whitfield.
That was good ball movement, good trigger pull, exactly what you want coming out of halftime.
So all of a sudden, UCF's lead down to 3. Saunders. And look at that. Just able to go up and get it was Schuler. Lobbed inside. Kaba was not ready for it. A turnover by the Knights. And now a foot race with Adams and Saunders. And there's your marquee matchup. Saunders with the swat keeps it in play.
They might have missed one right there. Unfortunately, the official was behind the play.
We'll get Coach Beck a whistle. Nice dish inside. Kaba converts the assist from Saunders.
Well, a couple things that SMU's done is not allow them to get transition buckets, but the other thing is not give them that really deep penetration like they did on that series.
So Cash will pull the trigger here. And a turnover right back to the Knights. You'd think she'd look for her 6'6" teammate on those inbounds plays, and instead could be a 3-point play the other way. KK Wright with the bucket and a free throw coming up.
Well, that's what gives a coach indigestion right there. Just there's nothing there. It's a double team. You can't throw it away. That gives them a quick transition, and then you give her a hand one. You got to take that arm off. You cannot allow that shot and then another bucket.
Kara Perry called for the foul. Again, Wright just shooting 1. KK Wright growing up nearby, went to Jones High School in Orlando, now a sophomore.
When you have a trapping defense, you want to get to the trap and then reverse it, and that's they do a lot of dribbling and passing off the dribble, and you should jump stop and get your feet underneath you, because that's when they turn the ball over the most.
Nyla Schuler able to deny that entry feed. Last touch by Bradshaw. This was a 3-point ball game, and now it's the Knights turning the ball over, sitting on the 8-point advantage.
Coach Abe talked about they've clogged up the lane, so there's nothing there. So they just got to spend more time reversing the ball and then hitting the open shooter.
Up the floor with Ariana Whitfield. And now a travel. So turnover sending us back and forth. And UCF hanging on to this 8-point lead just a couple minutes into the second half.
A lot of these turnovers are unforced, which is not what you want to see.
Yeah, that was something that Coach Abe mentioned talking to Despina. Self-inflicted. Saunders, another long 2. Schuler, the putback, the foul. And it's, again, a rare time that we've said Deja Thomas's name tonight, and both times it's been some struggles on the defensive end.
Well, that was good offensive rebound work. They push you under. Just go get it. You know, they've got a nose for it.
Schuler's made about half of her free throws this year. Nyla Schuler got her undergraduate degree all wrapped up back in August, now officially a master's student. Her offensive game's improved while being the glue of this group. And she's good at math. Makes 1 of 2.
Anytime you can have a player that likes to rebound like she does, it's always good.
And Kaba is going to be called for the contact on Collins away from the lane.
It should be her second foul.
UCF foul,
third. Oops.
She's going to be a presence. And this is likely for Kaba.
One of the things she talked about is that her team has really been doing a good job not getting in foul trouble, so that makes it tough.
A fresh shot clock for SMU, trailing by 9. Whitfield looking for her third. Right. What a feed to Thigpen. Shot, no. Foul, yes.
Well, it was a transition bucket, and it was a great feed. Just one of those things, I think she couldn't believe how open she was, and she just bricked it. Transition, nice feed, and probably had a little bit of presence by Collins being there.
And it is a double-digit advantage for UCF. After that lead had been trimmed down to 3 at the start of this half. The largest advantage of the day for Coach Abe.
Besides that opening bucket, they haven't found the hole here, and it's important that they do soon. They don't want to dig a hole against the type of team that can actually control tempo as well as UCF.
Just trying to do too much along that baseline. Saunders winds up with the ball in her lap. Pull up, no. Rebound, Adams.
Haven't seen a lot of Thomas in this game. I don't know if she's ill or just trying something different, but she was so big the other night.
And when they tried to get into Collins, the foul had already been whistled on Thigpen. Yeah, right now, Deja Thomas not on the floor. Limited minutes here today. As you see her next to Michaela Reese. We saw Deja in that win over ECU haul in 22 rebounds.
I see she has 3 fouls, so that's probably why she's on the bench, but just really hasn't been a presence today.
Travis Mays continues to go with his size, has both Bradshaw as well as Collins on the floor. And we're about to see an early entry from Savannah Ellis, the freshman out of Tulsa. Savannah and her sister both joining the Mustangs this year. Her sister Mackenzie is a couple years older, started at Colorado before having to sit out this season as a transfer. And both of them out of Booker T. Washington, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Ellis right now guarding Saunders. Open is right. She finds space. And somehow among 3 Mustangs, the Knights have the rebound hauled in by Paul. And then give it up with a walk.
Yeah, they had 3 Mustangs going after that ball when it was in the air. It was, I mean, if we ever see that in slow-mo, it's everyone's kind of standing and they're running to go get it.
Turnover is obviously a topic in both locker rooms at halftime. Ellis, that's a tough place to pick up your dribble, but bailed out by that 6'6" teammate of hers. Adams is going to be on the court most of the time, and even she is not immune to mistakes. Dribbles out of bounds.
That's just a lot of pressure on her. You know, one thing that the Knights do is they pressure the ball. A lot of teams kind of do what I call fake pressure. They kind of put their hands up, but they're not really working hard. They work hard on the ball.
Yeah, that was me in intramurals.
Yeah, me in my career.
Thigpen from the elbow, no. Another offensive rebound. Schuler aggressively pulls it back out.
Well, their quickness, their athleticism is just, they're out quicking the SMU team.
As Adams finally hauls it back for SMU. Can they have a productive possession here, trailing by 11?
Just need to reverse the ball. They've gotten a shot every time they reverse it.
Collins. And somehow, despite the advantage on the size, gives way to the defense of Schuler on the opposite end. Defense rewarded on the other end with some offense. Nyla Schuler has made this a 13-point lead for UCF.
Well, I'm sure Coach Abe was wondering, when are we going to get some transition buckets? This is the one game, like they're marked on their schedule. Hey, these guys are 0-for on the road. We probably have a good shot at winning it, so the team kind of gets a little casual, thinking, oh, we're supposed to win this tonight.
Knights.
They don't know they have to work.
Defense, offense, things starting to click. A chance to pull away here in the second half.
Power comes in all forms.
Power is a big tackle.
A big save.
A clutch hit.
And a game-winning shot.
Power is also standing up for what is right.
Power is respecting an opponent, officials,
Student athletes, coaches, and team representatives.
Power is not tolerating racial or ethnic comments.
Profanities or other improper actions.
While at the game.
The American.
Power.
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 Power for life.
Don't miss the chance to see your team cut down the nets at the American Athletic Conference Men's Basketball Championship. All the excitement of tournament basketball starts March 8th and runs to the 11th at the Amway Center in Orlando. For tickets, call the Amway Center box office or visit theamerican.org for more information.
Back in Orlando, the Pet Band, as good as always, here inside CFE Arena. Let's check back in courtside with Despina.
Yeah, guys, SMU not the only team dealing with injuries. UCF actually losing their two bigs in Fifi Nador and Omakori just earlier this season, having to sub in a lot of different looks down low. Two of them doing some major work for you today, Nyala Schuler and Kayla Thigpen, along with the new freshman in Kaba. The girls picking up the pace, but Coach did let me know, Coach Abrahamson Henderson, that she's had to play some trickery during practice time, forcing the girls to watch more film to make up for that time lost and those bodies lost on the floor to keep everybody healthy. If this pans out, they get a week off before their next assignment, one that is well needed for this battered UCF Knights team, guys.
Thank you, Despina. Nyla Schuler already with 10 rebounds, including 4 on the offensive glass. In fact, 5 offensive rebounds for Kayla Thigpen. And all of the Knights taking advantage of the additional minutes they're seeing this year due to the absence of Indur and Omakore.
Schuler's definitely come in the game and given them a big boost. Not only on that end, on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, rebounding and then scoring a few points of her own.
We talk about the youth movement here in the American, and Thomas this past week up at Cincinnati, a bright future ahead, really stood out in a couple of victories.
Yep, rebounds, points, assists, steals, she does it all.
And of course, your player of the week, the newcomers. For the Shockers, it's Ranji Bassard. She leads them in scoring and rebounding. Another strong performance, and of course this week already a victory over SMU at home. Back underway, Lincoln Rose, Angela Beck, Despina McLaughlin with you. You're on the American Digital Network. Gregory, well off the mark, and Cash goes up to get the rebound.
Looks like she's gone small for a while. Got a smaller lineup in.
Adams continues to lead the pace for SMU. As Adams now the first in double figures for the Mustangs with 10. UCF with a pair of players with 9. Wright and Saunders, no surprise. KK Wright from the wing along 2.
It definitely is the Wright and Saunders show. I mean, those two guards have 4 or 5 touches every possession. So I would definitely want to know them really well and have them know me if I was on that team. Get some touches of my own.
Collins against Schuler, and Schuler has done a masterful job today and was not going to back down to Collins or Cash there.
He said, hey, I got it. Dude, you know, it should be our ball.
It was a tie-up. Possession arrow favoring the Knights. They lead by 13. You see Amy Smith-Bradley, the former Texas Longhorn and former head coach of Division III Trinity in San Antonio. And I know she enjoys her time at SMU, where her dad and grandfather both played football for SMU. The turnovers have been a bug for both of these teams, even though UCF now with a double-digit advantage.
Yeah, turnovers that both coaches have talked about, that some were forced, but a lot were not forced. A lot of the trapping full court pressure gave SMU trouble most of the game. And then that's just sloppy ball handling on that one. It's important for SMU now to come out and establish something. If it's going to be inside, besides Adams, somebody's going to have to get big and score some points, and then look to get a couple turnovers, maybe mix up their defense, show a little half-court trap or something. You just don't want the game to get away from you now. With 3:40 to go in the third quarter, there's plenty of time, but now's the time to get focused here.
UCF, 15 of their 38 points have come off SMU turnovers in this ball game. Well, we take a look at the upcoming championships that we will cover right here on the American Digital Network. It all gets started this next month in Dallas for the swimming and diving championships, followed by a trek over to Birmingham, Alabama at the Crossplex. Indoor track and field championships in the American. From there, golf, tennis, softball, outdoor track and field, rowing, and we wrap up back here in Florida with baseball in May. So again, a lot of champions to be crowned still here in winter and spring sports on the American Digital Network. Right now, our spotlight on women's basketball. UCF, one of the top 3 teams in the league right now, up there with UConn and USF. They've already played once with the Bulls. The Bulls took that one very mindful of the fact that UCF went to Tampa last year and toppled the Bulls in their own backyard.
Well, Coach Abe, and we talked about this a little bit, but in 2 years has put her team on the mark in the American. Number 2 in scoring defense. In fact, they're 4-0 right now if they keep a team under 56 points. Right now, SMU only has 25 points by the books. If they don't start producing, it's going to be a tough afternoon here. They're number 2 in field goal defense, number 2 in steals. So that's pretty impressive that they're right behind UConn in 3 categories already in the American in just 2 years.
Oh, UCF, perhaps they're the Knights of Lannister, as right now a little Game of Thrones from the student pep bands. Of course, I cringe because there's always a chance our broadcast will get taken down.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully they have the rights to that music. But a great job by the student band during breaks, as UCF had a 6-point lead at halftime. SMU cut it in half quickly with a Whitfield 3, but after that, SMU went cold, more turnovers, and UCF has established this double-digit advantage for the first time today. They haven't needed Schuler to score. She has 11 rebounds, but tries her hand at a 3.
And that was Cash on the rebound. She's done a lot of nice things. I mean, she hasn't taken over the game or anything like that, but I think with the more reps and more time, she's going to be a nice addition to them.
Mentioned 15 points off SMU turnovers going into that last timeout. Chance to add more here. They will wave off the bucket. A whistle had already occurred, a foul on the Mustangs. There's Jamisha Paul in the ball game right now. Paul, the 5'8" junior out of Pompano Beach here in Florida, giving them about 13 minutes in outing. Paul just about perfect from the free throw line this year.
Of course.
You can send your letters as soon as you know how much a stamp it costs.
Exactly. That's no one ever knows.
Is that forever American or forever Canadian? As right now, one more to go here for Paul. So UCF's defense back on display.
Desperate need of a basket here.
Adams trying to do it all. And it's back over to the Knights. So UCF, we mentioned Coach Katie Abrahamson-Henderson, second year at the helm. Last year, a great buy-in from the leaders, and you just never know as a new coach how committed the seniors are willing to be in their final year, whether they want to adopt a whole new scheme. But she credits a great buy-in from the leaders. Last year, everybody this year knew what the expectations were and voluntarily stuck around during the summer to continue to improve. That included Saunders, who last year was simply a vocal leader in the locker room, not eligible to play due to NCAA transfer rules. This year, able to step up on the court.
Well, she's chomping at the bit, sitting out last year, so in 5th year of existence here, so I can see why her game's on full tilt.
Saunders and KK Ryan each with 11 points today here for UCF.
That's a good looking shot too. That's a quick stop and pop. Good release.
So a couple of free throws here for Kiera Perry. She, like Adams, from the Dallas area. Travis Mays and his staff don't have to go far from the SMU campus to find a great deal of talent as programs from around the country come to the Metroplex.
Both these teams going to the NWIT last year. And, I mean, both new coaches. So I'm sure Coach Mays is super frustrated right now. And I know he's trying a million things, and sometimes it just takes time.
That was the 6th WNIT appearance for SMU, 4th for UCF. And, of course, Tulane was there as well. American well represented.
I think his kids have the will to win, but they say that's greatly overrated. It's the ability to execute and do the little things that make you successful. And I think that's where his kids have to stay focused.
Looking for another three.
I mean, that's a contested three from downtown. It's not probably the shot you need at that time.
Paul brought it up the floor to Wright, and Wright rejected by your postmaster general. Insufficient postage as determined by Clara Bradshaw.
That's a great block by Bradshaw.
SMU has one of the top 2 volleyball programs in the American. She might fit right in as a middle blocker. And nice job saving it. Reese and the Mustangs don't have numbers though as UCF gets back in transition quickly. And despite that, it is Reese who pours in a pair. 4 points off turnovers, this time for SMU.
Well, I've always liked Reese. I think she's capable. That's a nice little floater in the lane.
Paul making things happen on the other end.
It's like, take that.
And Mackenzie Adams just ran into the wall of Schuler, and it'll be Schuler who picks up the whistle.
She gets the Courage Award for sure. I mean, here's Paul on the other end, the floater in the lane. But yeah, Mackenzie gets the Courage Award because sometimes she's going in there and there's a bunch of trees and she's just bulldozing them down.
Final minute of the 3rd quarter. Again, Adams the only player in double figures for SMU. And she has 11. Deja Thomas came back in, as did Aaliyah Gregory for UCF.
There's the first press we've seen from them.
Looking over to Coach Abe for the play call. As Wright will move it along to Gregory. Saunders likes that spot. She has been inconsistent at time off the top of the glass.
Well, Thigpen did a little kind of putting her hand on somebody's shoulder and kind of getting the advantage, kind of like you do when you do a football extra kick and you block the kick and you topple on somebody. That's what she did.
That's a 15-yard penalty.
Well, that's a two-point penalty on this side if they make them both.
You're not allowed to block these field goals. As Adams makes the front end. Coach Abe and Travis Mays both so easy to talk to about their program, so passionate about the personnel they currently have and the future just around the corner for both these programs. Look forward to hearing from the victorious coach and one of our top players at the conclusion of this broadcast. SMU has not had a lead. With that said, UCF had an advantage bout like this against Tulane on Wednesday, only to see Tulane with a late push in the 4th quarter make things a little too interesting.
Yeah, UCF comes out of the halftime pretty strong, but then they fall asleep a little bit.
Thigpen will beat the buzzer. Wright stumbled and still found the open teammate. And that will do it for the third period of play. A 14-point lead for the Knights moving into the final 10 minutes of regulation. Again, the Adams with 12 points, make it 14 through the first three, but that's not enough. They need 14 more to close the deficit.
Oh, that ball is hit deep. Left field. Way back. That ball is gone.
Double play ball potentially shredded. Ball over to first. In time double play, and that ends the game.
Underway from the American.
Don't miss the chance to see your team cut down the nets March 3rd to the 6th. Call the Mohegan Sun Arena or visit us online to purchase tickets today.
Again, always a great atmosphere here. Always impressed with the support, even though obviously the weather is always great in Florida. Even during the recent cold blast that we had, Florida was basically immune here on the peninsula. Let's check back in courtside with Despina.
Yeah, Lincoln, I think you guys had this right. You could see the frustration right on May's face there on the sideline. And even speaking to him before the game, he mentioned that this point in this season, they don't even have a captain. No one's really stepped up since Crawling got injured and has been out of the game. And that's been a key to this team kind of falling in and out of consistency. You see it out here, glimpses of greatness, and they can shoot the ball really well, and then they throw the ball away in the paint. It's something that he is trying to figure out. He's not changing his coaching style one bit, but a concern this entire year, guys.
All right, thank you very much. Again, some recurring themes in the absence of Froling. They still have not found the next player to step up. You take a look at your conference standings. UConn not just atop the American standings, but of course atop the polls, #1 in the nation, as they are the top team field goal percentage in the country in Division I women's basketball. 17-game winning streak for those Huskies, including some tough competition outside of conference play over the past couple of weeks. USF, Houston, and UCF, all there among the top 4 teams right now here in mid-January.
Well, there's a look of another frustrated coach. You hate coming out of a quarter and having your team just turn it right over. She knows if she gets into the NCAAs or finals of the American tournament, they can't be doing that. Because you look at some of the top teams in the country, they're tough.
We mentioned the Knights after today. They've played 2 straight here at home. Tulane and SMU. They'll hit the road. Tulsa and Cincinnati to close things out. UCF will have its second go-around with UConn on February 7th. And again, she was pleased with how they showed up fighting early on against UConn. Thought it was really more against USF, their in-state rival, that they showed up a little flat, perhaps a little too pleased with themselves and their showing against the #1 team in the country.
I know they kept it close, but it ended up being a 40-point game, so I don't know.
That's a barn burner.
I still find it difficult to be pleased with anything that's not under 20 or maybe something single digit. But it's it is UConn, but still, I think she's taken baby steps with her programs, and she's been she was thrilled that they went 3-0 in the conference for the first time ever. And, it's probably good because you don't want to take your team to the top the first day, because where do you go from there? Sometimes it's tough. But having said that, this is a good team. And they're capable of doing some really great things if they can just clean a few things up. They're a little lackadaisical here.
UConn and SMU, basically the two teams that would present a size disadvantage for a squad like UCF. And as I say that, a flat-footed block shot by Gregory.
That's when you have to have the decision making just to pull it out. The shot's not there, or you got to do a pull-up jumper before you get to the defense, but you can't get to the defense and then get it slammed in your face.
So again, KK Wright, Z Saunders, 11 points apiece to lead the way for the Knights. Your game high is the 14 points of Mackenzie Adams on 5 of 11 shooting to go with her 7 rebounds. And I think we've seen every Mustang available who made the trip out here to Florida. Travis Mays assisted by Mike Brandt. We mentioned A.B. Smith-Bradley earlier. Erica White got the promotion this year. The 4-time Final Four participant with LSU. Was the director of player development in year 1 under Travis Mays in Dallas. And John-Asia Cash got the start today and makes good at the line.
Like I said, I think she's had a solid performance. Nothing crazy, but good enough to keep her in there.
Wright looks over to her coach. Feeds into Kaba. And Kaba may be a little quieter than usual, in part because of the exercise out there for SMU, but she still overall has had a nice outing.
Yeah, I'd like to see her get a few more touches in a game. I don't, you know, their offense is not really predicated over, or at least it hasn't been in the last couple games I've seen going to her. I think you have to make a conscious effort to go to her because she really is efficient down there. So, but their guards, like, you know, they take a majority of the shots for this team.
Masani Kaba has only attempted 2 shots in this game. She's 2 for 2.
Well, I think when you get a young player as talented as her, she's got to be getting double digits.
Some struggles from the free throw line today. Now 2 of 6 from the charity stripe for Kaba.
In order to get double digits, she needs, you know, 15 attempts.
Still a 13-point deficit for these Mustangs on the road.
Right now, I think the big key is UCF has 9 more offensive rebounds, and it's hard to equate what that means, but it's extra points for them, and you know they've been able to be a little lackadaisical because they're giving a little effort on the offensive glass.
Nyela Schuler and Thigpen combined for 9 offensive rebounds alone between the two of them. Extra pass out to Adams. Rainbow 3 won't go. An offensive rebound this time for Perry. Paul on Adams. Kaba trying to hold her ground. Freshman against freshman there, and Kaba gets the better of the exchange with Cash. And Saunders just leading Kaba a little too deep.
Not really certain what she saw there because there wasn't a whole lot.
This was Kaba blocking Cash on the opposite end. You saw that number. UCF 7 block shots to SMU's 2, and that is not a storyline SMU has seen very often over the past 3 years.
Like we talked in the pregame, they're similar teams. They do a lot of things alike as far as rebounding and blocks and all that. But I think the athleticism of UCF has just outquicked them.
When Alicia Froling, Stephanie Collins showed up on campus as freshmen, they helped SMU set a new program record for block shots in a season. Their sophomore year, they broke that record. Last year as juniors, they broke the record again. They may come up a bit short this year, but again, that size has paid off, especially when Froling on the perimeter was able to deny much smaller guards. Cash drives, sees Reese in her peripheral vision, and Reese does not disappoint.
I really think when they get ball reversal, and I've said it before, but I can count maybe how many times in this game they ball reversed. Under 10. maybe 6 or 7, and they have an open shooter, and their shooters can catch and shoot, but they're not getting enough passes to do that.
Mustangs are back within 10. It's another rebound for Schuler.
That kind of breaks your back. You get it down to 10. All you need to do is get a stop. They got the stop, but then they gave him another board, another 30 seconds.
Feed to Thigpen, and a tad too strong. It's going to stay here. That was the 13th rebound by Nyla Schuler here in this ball game.
SMU foul number 3, Mackenzie Adams.
Officials still straightening things out at the moment. The last foul assessed to Adams.
7th foul.
And our officials want to make sure they have everything correct here. They're going to go back to the monitor.
Officials will review and confirm who the foul's on.
Again, right now the call is on Adams. It'd be her second personal, but officials are able to consult the monitor. And they've corrected it now to Kiera Perry. Did not take long. On the rebound there, and it's Perry locked up with Schuler.
Not sure who locked who up on that, but go with the official on it.
Again, UCF's lead down to 10.
See, I think you got to get in a man-to-man defense here. You can't sit back in a zone. You got to get in a man. You got to try to jump a couple passing lanes, get a steal, pick it up, because you have 5 minutes to go. You down 10.
SMU has been playing catch-up the entire time. Shot clock down to 4. Long 3 straight away from Z. Another one.
I think she likes that shot, the one that's not unexpected from downtown.
She forgot to use glass that time. Adams inside. Cash, the putback won't go. Paul with the rebound for the Knights, and they'll slow it down.
That just doesn't seem fair. You know, if you're SMU, good rebound and just can't find the bottom of the net.
And Adams will poke it into the bench of the Knights. Shot clock at 15 for UCF. They'll have the basketball. They sport a 13-point lead here at home midway through the 4th quarter. Again, UCF inching closer to improving to a 5-2 mark to stay in the hunt for a title here in the American.
$7,000 student athletes rising to become champions in 21 different sports at 13 esteemed institutions across 11 states. 360,000 students and 2.6 million alumni rise up in celebration of a Power 6 conference known as the American.
Don't miss the chance to see your team cut down the nets at the American Athletic Conference Men's Basketball Championship. All the excitement of tournament basketball starts March 8th and runs to the 11th at the Amway Center in Orlando. For tickets, call the Amway Center box office or visit theamerican.org for more information.
Welcome back. The Knights out rebounding, out blocking, and of course outscoring the visiting Mustangs of SMU, up by 13. We again take a look at the big picture in the American. We went back and looked at your Players of the Week and your Rookie of the Week. Take a look at your honor roll in the American from last week with performances for the Bearcats, Huskies, Bulls, Mustangs with Deja Thomas. That was when she had those 22 rebounds against ECU last weekend. And the Temple Al Atkinson with a standout performance for the senior as well.
Well, Saunders is having a big one tonight. I mean, she's all over the court. hitting those downtown threes, shooting 66% from three-point range, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. She's doing it all.
Again, the only one out rebounding her own teammate, has a career-high 15 rebounds in this ball game for Schuler.
There she is from, that's the offensive rebound by Kaba.
Yeah, all the Knights rebounding in this one. A good showing for everyone here on their home court. You look at some of the totals that stand out. Mentioned the career-high 15 for Schuler, including 6 on the offensive glass. Kayla Thigpen, 5 of her 6 rebounds on the offensive end. Another 6 rebounds for Saunders to go with her impressive performance today. And Jamisha Paul off the bench with 5 rebounds as well.
She likes a scrappy kid. She recruits a kid that's really tough. And we talked about the non-negotiables, and rebounding's one of them. So that's how you win championships, is to play defense and rebound. And her team is doing that. Just needs to take care of the ball a little bit better, but they don't have a big three-point threat besides, maybe Saunders, but you can still win games without that.
Saunders with a pair of 3-pointers today, off the mark on that last one. Her career high was when she hit 3 triples earlier this year, but that was just not part of the game that Coach Abe thought she was getting when Saunders joined her in Orlando.
Nope, that wasn't her role before, but I guess she likes it now. And you get smarter, your eyes start opening up. You can see things that you didn't see when you're a freshman, sophomore, when you become a 5th-year senior.
Saunders guarding the ball right now. Bradshaw and Kaba. And Kaba gets the better of it. And a nice save, hustle. And the one who had the hustle, Perry, winds up with the ball in her lap. She was everywhere. But a whistle against the Knights.
Just trying to figure out which whistle it is. Looks like it's SMU ball.
Again, UCF started off this conference slate with wins over Temple, as well as at SMU and Wichita State. That trip to Dallas was a 60-42 victory. It was the first ever 3-0 start for the Knights since joining the American.
So down 13 points with 4:27 to go, you're still in the game. It's just going to take a surge. It's going to take, let's get after it, run and jump, press, foul. I don't care what you do, but get going. And we'll see if they extend their defense here and really try to go after UCF and get this tempo going in their favor.
After the 14 points for Mackenzie Adams for SMU, next leading scorer with 5 is Reese. And I know, Ian, you're always wondering what kind of game she will have. Sometimes she's been the Energizer Bunny for this group.
I think she's proven she can shoot it. They just need to pass the ball around enough to get their shooter shots. Every time, not every time, but when Adams has been open and they've seen her and hit her in stride, she's a 75% shooter in a situation like that. They have to move the ball enough to get it to her. Right now, see, they're not moving. Move it. Swing it.
And they'll get contact from Paul there along the perimeter on Kiera Perry.
A lot of times I would do a drill where I just take the air out of the ball, and so you can't dribble it. So if a kid tries to put it down, it can't go anywhere. And that's how you practice moving the ball side to side without dribbling it. Nowadays, kids want to put the dribble down all the time.
Oh, that's going to be a lead into tomorrow's Patriots game.
Taking the air out of the ball, yes.
Patriots will face again Blake Bortles, former UCF quarterback, and Jacksonville. The right to move on to Minnesota to play the Super Bowl against either the Vikings or the Eagles.
So they're still in their zone. And it's allowing them to run 30 seconds off the clock.
Kaba, Paul, Wright, Schuler, and Saunders on the floor right now for UCF. Still 7 to shoot. Paul lost the handle. Up ahead the other way, Reese. Tiptoeing along the baseline. 16-footer. Good, and finally a fortunate bounce. They'll roll through for Bradshaw.
Bradshaw's golden like facing the basket. They just need to keep moving her. Problem is they're letting this clock run down. I mean, there's only 3 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Bradshaw's 3 of 7 today, 6 points, a couple of rebounds, and a block shot. Again, coming off the bench as Cash got the start, although they've since been using a couple of post players much of this ball game. And you talk about taking the air out. The Knights are mindful that that clock is on their side.
Yeah, they know how to manage a game late.
Kaba went right into a double team, and that's just some good fortune. Ball wound up with Saunders, and she's able to score.
It's good fortune, and it's because she happens to be anywhere the ball is. See, you don't get in a trap and put the dribble down.
3-on-1. And Saunders on a little 4-0 run of her own.
Well, good heads-up play, good transition. It hasn't been this wide of a margin, but it looks like it's going to get a little out of hand here.
Z Saunders, 18 points to go with 6 rebounds, 3 assists, a block shot, and 4 steals. And KK Wright with a steal of her own, and well, it's Saunders on a 6-0 run, looking to pull things away. She strikes 20 points on this Saturday afternoon in Orlando.
Somebody must have talked to him about picking up the pace, because the last 3 traps that UCF ran were picture-perfect traps. And basically, SMU kind of fed into it by putting that dribble down. And they've got very quick hands in their traps. Oh, hopefully she's okay. I didn't know she went down.
Yeah, this obviously would be significant. As you're looking at the leading scorer for SMU this year, averaging about 18 points a ball game, Mackenzie Adams, the senior, who started her career at Arkansas, last 3 years now as a headliner for SMU. Today, 5 of 13, 14 points,
let's hope she can
7
get
rebounds.
Mackenzie Adams from Mustangs, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not looking too good. I don't know if we can see that on a replay or not.
As Adams has helped carry this team all year.
Well, that's unfortunate. Hopefully it's just a sprain, or yeah, here she gets in the trap and tries to, she twists her ankle, it looks like, I hope, but I don't know if the knee went with it. It's a lot. Did you see that ankle go down?
SMU trailing by 16 and another turnover. Gregory denied. It'll stay with UCF. The block from Kira Perry.
Well, Perry waited on her that time. She waited and then just got behind her and got a clean block. That was a great defense by Perry.
It's a game where Saunders has matched her season high. As KK Wright a tad short, Bradshaw with the rebound. Saunders is 20 points, 1 shy of her career high that she had back at Albany. Cash, nice job getting to the rim. Won't go, but free throws coming up for the freshman.
Good hands by Cash. That was a tricky pass. Defense was really covering her pretty well, and she not only caught the ball, but had a quick turnaround.
Again, yes, she is related to Swing Cash, one of the bigger names in women's basketball these days. As Thigpen back on. McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Home of John Asia Cash.
And with SMU's reputation as an institution, it's a national reputation. He's able to go across the country. Obviously, these kids have to be smart. These are tough classes, and it's a very, very tough school, but, to be able to do both, that's awesome to get that kind of education.
They've got the facilities with the makeover that Moody got a few years ago, and of course the practice facility 10 years ago. 6 new players coming in to replace 5 seniors. They thought they were losing 6 this year, but again, Froling will redshirt. Reese on the wing, good.
There's that stop and pop that I knew she had. I mean, they weren't that far out of this thing. I don't even know if they know how close they were, but I mean, if they could have just turned it up just a little more.
Well, it was an afternoon where we saw Zykia Saunders score 20. KK Wright, the only other night in double figures with 11, and then a balanced approach from a variety of other teammates. Rebounding led by Nyla Schuler with 16 rebounds, including 6 on the offensive end. But now it's the Mustangs trying to get some rebounds. And here's Schuler. What a career afternoon it has been for number 12.
Well, it's improved game plan for SMU. We got to see a few more kids and what they're capable of doing. I think he's still trying to figure out who's going to lead this team, and hopefully they figure it out really soon because they're not that far out of it. And UCF did a great job making it happen.
Zykia Saunders is going to add 3 more. It's a new career high for Zykia. 23 points for the newfound 3-point threat for UCF. And UCF is going to improve to 5-2. Saunders and company will stay right there, 3rd place in the American standings. UCF will sweep SMU during the regular season. 23 points from Saunders, and I have a feeling we know one of the individuals we'll be hearing from when we come back on the other side when Coach Abe joins Despina. 58-43, the Knights take this one here on ADN.
I was the last person anybody's thinking is going to be in college athletics. One thing I really valued about my SMU experience was being in engineering school. I was taught how to think. In 2012, my wife and I decided to start our foundation. Basically, the goal is to let kids be kids while they're in the hospital, but also be able to return to being a kid when they're done. A huge part of my quality of life is the experiences that I've had, and that was all provided by SMU. I'm Thomas Morstead. Game changers are shaped here.
People say we're big. Wow. Well, what is big?
This is big.
It's an energy. An opportunity. So go on. Dream big. Because big is just the beginning.
I got it.
Zykia Saunders, of all things, matches a career high 3 3-pointers as she hit a couple to end some periods of play. But it gives her a new career high, the 5th-year senior, 23 points. As she and her teammates celebrate this one, the Knights are now 13-7 overall. More importantly, Coach Beck, they are 5-2 in conference play, right at that number 3 perch in the standings. And with their victorious head coach, Coach Katie Abrahamson-Henderson, let's check in with Despina.
Well, Coach, you sweep SMU the entire season here. Talk about this victory here at the home court and what it means moving forward here in conference play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're a really good team, and we've never swept them before. For Leah and all of our seniors, they've never done that, and so every game's like a first for us, and so we always talk about those little firsts and the little miracles, and every game counts, and this is a big win for us because they have some great players on the team. And you see we're undersized, and they were so much bigger than us, so we just really had to fight and try to box out, and we did a good job.
You talked about cleaning up the defensive efforts in the second half. The girls certainly did not let up on the gas pedal. How impressed are you with them to be able to fight the way they did? Like you said, they were undersized in this contest.
Yeah, actually the first 2 minutes of the third quarter, I said, why do we ever go to timeout? I mean, halftime, because they came back right away, boom, 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 scored 6 straight points. And so we got to do a better job coming out. But then Z makes some big-time shots and got some steals and got some tips, and we did some good things. So, and we played half the game without Moss, so we were really undersized.
Lastly, Nyla Schuler and Thigpen did incredible things for you on the boards. How much credit can you give those young ladies?
A lot. Like I just said, they're both guards. And poor things are playing the 4 and the 5 for us. And they're Nyza 3 and Kayla's a 2. And so when we're injured like we are, everybody else has just got to step up. So I'm very proud of them.
Well, congratulations, Coach. I know you have about 7 days to relish in this one before your next game. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, we'll check back in with Despina in just a moment. Coach Abe certainly making some pretty good lemonade out of the lemons that she's been handed with some injuries. Schuler with a career-high 16 rebounds along the way, but it's another career night with Z Saunders scoring 23. She's with Despina.
All right, I am with our player of the game. Talk about your performance down the stretch. Whenever they needed a shot, you found a way to sink it into the ball, in the net.
It's just part of our offense. We're just flowing with our offense. If I get an open shot, I'm looking to take it. If not, I'm looking to pass.
Talk about this team and how they were able to out-rebound SMU. Obviously, you see the size difference out there. What was your mindset heading into this contest?
Just to go out there and get the ball, but I think Nyla did a great job rebounding on the offense and defensive end. She did a really good job.
Nyla Schuler, career night, 16 boards. Can you speak to, I guess, the urgency of getting those second to third chance opportunities and how critical that was for you guys today?
It was really important for her to get those. That gave us other opportunities to run our offenses and get everything set and made them play defense for a couple more seconds. So I'm really proud of Nye. She did a great job.
Back-to-back wins for you guys. You get a little rest here. Talk about how you can carry this over as Tulsa's 7 days away now.
We're just going to enjoy this little break that we have, and then once time for Tulsa, we'll get ready for it and focus on that.
All right. Well, congratulations to you tonight. Enjoy the win, all right?
Thank you.
Lincoln?
All right, thank you very much. What an outing again from a young lady that they weren't expecting offense from in this her final year in Z Saunders. A reminder, we will see the Knights in their next outing. They'll have a week to enjoy this before we see them in Tulsa on the American Digital Network. And, of course, even before that, it will be SMU continuing here on ADN against Cincinnati back in Dallas, where they found their last win against ECU. Well, our big thanks to Despina McLaughlin as well as Angela Beck. I'm Lincoln Rose. On behalf of our entire American Digital Network crew, enjoyed having you with us here on this Saturday afternoon. UCF improves to 5-2 in the American, remaining one of your top 3 teams in the American Athletic Conference. So long from Orlando.